My station, your station. Welcome to it. This is a special interview, and I'm with an amazing guest with me. I'm pretty sure you might know who she is, definitely, but she's somebody who has made waves. I'm not talking just about Zimbabwe alone. I'm talking about what she's done in the whole world, and also the vision that she has, the hits, the streams. I'm talking about people that she has worked with. She's an amazing person. Her name is Shingai Elizabeth Maria Shoniwa. How are you, man?
What a beautiful intro.
Thank
I'm
you.
good, Joseph. How are you?
I'm good. How are you? Are you happy?
I am so happy. I have to say, this is definitely one of my favorite spots to hit. When I can't come to Zim and not do ZiFM, my station, your station, and
It's everybody's
yeah, the
station.
greeting has been so nice. It's
Yeah.
good to be home.
Thank
Sha.
you. And thank you for coming through. I
You're
was
welcome.
telling you earlier that this is my first interview for this show.
Yes.
And you never forget your first, eh?
No matter near or far, you never forget it. We'll always remember you. Don't worry. No pun intended.
Exactly. Which brings me to what do you still remember the first day that you picked up any music or instrument, where it all started for you?
Yeah, so actually my auntie, a really beautiful auntie of mine, Auntie Valerie, she had this guitar that was in her cupboard, and I was always fascinated by it. I think from about 6, 7,
Okay.
and then in addition to that, my mum and a really, really beautiful uncle of mine who's just passed away actually last month. His name is Waladanga, rest in power. He is very close with a lot of purveyors of the Zimbabwean music culture, such as Fred Zindi, etc. So he was one of the biggest music promoters in London, and they used to run a music night called Club Limpopo.
Okay.
He brought people over like the Bundu Boys, Manu Dibango, like Hugh Masekela,
Yeah.
some big music heads, Kanda Bongo Man, you know. So like, yeah, as a little girl in the 90s and noughties, I saw so many amazing musicians
Yeah.
come and go and pass through, and then, you know, mum would make them sadza, and we'd be all like, what's that, what's he playing, what's that instrument? So yeah, there was a lot of instruments around me, and there were a lot of instrumental people who were very proud of African music, and they made sure that it was pretty much the beating heart of our home was the sound of the African drum. So I got to thank my mum as well.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice,
my
nice.
cheapo.
My cheapo. Big shout out to you. Now you've picked up that guitar up. You have a career now. You've worked with people like Paul McCartney. You've worked with people like Annie Lennox.
Yes, that's
You've
right.
worked with Neo.
Yeah.
I want to know something now. You've worked with those people. What is it that they have when it comes to their work ethic and dedication to their craft that we can learn from?
I feel that most of the people that are still the people that have had careers like that tend to really stick to what it is that is unique about them. What I'm finding is that it's a little bit harder. In fact, it's a lot harder for artists that are coming in to have the time to explore, to really dig into the vast spectrum that exists in music, to really have fun, genre hopping, instrument hopping, working with different people. And so there's a lot of pressure on artists coming up to kind of conform to a style that's already set for them or a genre too early in their career. And actually what it ends up doing, it means that sometimes it's harder for them to have longevity because they already find themselves a bit limited sometimes by only being able to make music, for example, in one genre. I think it's beautiful to obviously love what you love and to do you, but I would say do you, boo. There's something about, I guess, the voices of people like Lauryn Hill or Nina Simone or Bob Marley, Miriam Makeba. Though there will be eternal voices because they actually made time to really, really dig deep and dive into the beautiful thing that music is. You know, I really feel like, don't let them tell you. It's like I speak about this a lot on my album, Too Bold. Don't let them tell you you're too much, too dark, too smart. You know, and there's sometimes this assumption that, you know, you shouldn't be smart. You need to kind of like, you know, undersell yourself. And what if you do have just this amazing desire to make amazing music? I think the people that you work with should support you on that mission. I also feel like there's a responsibility for the music industry to allow these artists to grow. And at the moment, the pace is so fast that a lot of artists find themselves being rushed to over define the sound too soon, and then it's like, oh, they've already got 10 other musicians that are doing the same kind of thing, so it's hard for them to stand out.
I mean, you are one person that can say, hey, I can talk about being restricted.
Sorry, the puns are just...
Listen, because I'm gonna get to this. I want you to finish my sentence. Okay. But what you said to me, you're one person who has been, people said to you like, hey, you cannot do this, you can do that. Yeah. So I want you to finish the sentence for me. Okay. You can sing it if you want to.
Okay.
So we are the ones they said we wouldn't make it. Love me or leave me.
You'll never break me. Victory's closer. See how we rise. See how we rise. No fear tonight.
How did you make that song? Tell me about that song.
Oh, that was so much fun. So I was actually like in Grenada at the time. It was the middle of lockdown.
Okay.
The world was just like, oh, woe is us. It was pretty challenging times for everybody. And the music industry, like a lot of sectors, got hit pretty hard. No shows, it was really, really tricky. And I actually found myself getting a gig booked. I think it was like the 18th of December. 2020, right? Yeah. So I got a gig booked in Berlin. And I literally went there with like one little kind of hand luggage and like a guitar and like a stage outfit. And then on the 19th, after I've done the gig, I start getting ready to book and check my flight in, right? They're like, you can't check in. And then everyone's like calling me going, are you okay? What's going on? And then obviously the first super awful variant breaks out, and it was called like, I think it started off being called the Kent strain, and then it was called like the English strain. And then everyone was like, there's this new variant. And then obviously, because England is very good with their PR, they renamed it conveniently Delta. So that was happening. Okay. And I actually got stranded. I got stranded in Berlin because nobody was accepting any travelers who had been in England for like 2 weeks prior. So I was like, what can I do? Where am I going to go? Like, I was literally like going to have to just like quarantine and just be on my own for maybe like 3 months. So I just kind of ended up making my way somehow to Grenada because my friend was doing like some kind of wellness things there. And it was one of the few places where I was accepted with my English passport. So I went there and I suddenly had this time on my hands and I had time to reflect because through lockdown, I'd already been working. I was just about to release Too Bold.
Oh, okay.
So things were busy. I was like, I know there's a lockdown. Doesn't mean people don't need great music and don't deserve to, to be stimulated and uplifted in some way. So I had this time on my hands, and then I'm like, I never really like used to check DMs, and I never was like really kind of like into that. And then this guy called Dean, like, says hi in the DMs. Turns out he looks after and works with this guy called Verseless, who's a really great Zimbabwean based producer. And then it just happened from there. So I took the long way to tell the story because I love stories. But so it all happened literally through like IG. And Spirit was really, really calling me to work with Zim artists. Wow. Yeah, I'd wanted to work with Zim artists for a long time, so I'm really glad that the first experience actually was with Tuku. Okay. I actually worked with him and did a performance with him for his part of his 60th birthday celebrations. But sadly, he passed before we got to record together. So we'd done a couple of live shows together. So this was my first opportunity to record with a Zim artist. Wow. I lapped it up. No Fear was born.
Yes, amazing. I mean, right about now, you heard the story of No Fear. Right about now, let's get to hear the song called No Fear by Shingai featuring Verseless. Let's go. Welcome back. This is Up in the Morning. I'm here with Shingai. Shingai is a vibe, guys.
It's early, huh?
It's very early. Shingai is good. You're authentic, Shingai. Which brings me to my next question.
Thank you.
You have embraced the Zimbabwean culture, the African culture. And I said this to my engineer, Faith, that you have embraced it more than other people here in Zimbabwe. We never grew up in Zim. How did you find your authenticity and everything that you do? How did you find that?
It may have a lot to do with the fact that I guess for a lot of diasporans, we are actually deprived of that African experience. We didn't get. I was born and raised in South London. It's just, you know, there's a lot of concrete. It was rough and ready. You know, there was so many challenges, and still are in the West, that I think a lot of people in Africa don't realize. You know, I find it quite disturbing that there is a massive drive for people to leave and, you know, not be able to see the beauty in things that maybe I see. And I think this is where the diasporans and everyone here maybe need to meet each other in the middle and create this bridge. I feel like, you know, like growing up in South London, you know, experiencing things like racism, experiencing extreme like imposed limitations. So it meant you had to develop your own identity. So I feel like the Black consciousness and African pride and African Caribbean pride is very much alive and well in the West. Like, you know, obviously you guys are aware of movements like Black Lives Matter and the civil rights movements. And, you know, I think with everything that we achieved with, you know, getting over things like apartheid, we shouldn't be in a hurry to forget what it cost to achieve some of the liberties that we actually have. So for me, freedom is everything. I'm a proud child of freedom fighters, and by that, it doesn't have to even just be your parents. People like, you know, people like Miriam Makeba, people like anybody who's ever fought for African freedom. You know, people like Lumumba, people like Emile Cabral, people like, you know, Nkrumah, people like, there are so many people that sacrifice their lives to have the freedom that I worry that people back home are beginning to not really appreciate.
Exactly. So I guess you have to go outside for you to appreciate what you've been missing back home, right?
I think it's a bit of both. Yeah. And I think it's also down to like my personality is one of, I want to see us win, man. Like I'm Black, I'm proud to be of, you know, of Soko, Neshumba heritage. I'm proud that you know, I want my actions to have a positive impact for this place and for us to get the respect abroad that we finally deserve. I also don't blame why a lot of I can also understand why a lot of Zimbabweans and a lot of Africans get tired, because the way that we are dragged in the Western media has also began to have an impact, and it's began to create a culture of us dragging each other. And this culture, we really, really need to stop with that, because the more we are not united and we drag ourselves and we are seen to not love ourselves, the easier it is for them to carry on exploiting us. Exactly. Have we not forgotten there is a common enemy that's always ready to pick at the crumbs of, you know, of things that we should be definitely addressing and being ready to get over by now. Our weakness is their strength.
Which brings me back to what you've been doing. Zimtron.
Zimtron.
Tell me, what is it and the vision? You know, if I tell it myself, I want you to tell it. What is Zimtron? What is the vision for it? And
Thanks for asking about Zimtron. Yeah, so I guess Zimtron is definitely a product of, you know, my imagination. It's a play on words. You know, obviously I'm a proud Zimba. And then there's a lot of electronic and digital elements to the way that we are very innovative in what we do and how we produce. So, for example, there's a song called Coming Home, and it's inspired by this classic called Shumba by Thomas Mafumo. And so what we did was when we produced that, I wanted to get this incredible ancient like warrior folk music that we are sitting on and show them
Exactly.
That is freaking more complex and exciting than some forms of classical music, in my personal opinion. So we used a lot of like digital elements like synthesizers, and we reproduced that. So we produced it in a way that can catapult it into the future and give us something to be proud of. And so Zimtron, that's an example of a, like, kind of our ethos.
Like
we celebrate the best of the past and the best of the ancient rhythms and melodies by making it contemporary and allowing it to be so futuristic that orchestras, 50-piece orchestras, are now performing that music. I just did a show at the Royal Festival Hall with a 50-piece orchestra where I insisted that Sekuro was going to join them and play hoshos so that they could keep that rhythm, so that he could anchor that. That's what we're doing, fam. I'm on a mission. I'm a missionary. I'm just maybe a missionary in reverse.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? I've come to spread
but trust me,
you know,
I'm with you on your mission. I want to see everything that you want to do, and I also want to see.
But can I just add to that as well?
Please do.
It's not just about the musical element of Zimtron that is important to me. It's about the impact of Zimtron as a business. It's about us being really, really serious about Black ownership, especially with what is going on with arguably new forms of attempts of neo-colonization through financial and technology. And, you know, we need to make sure that we own our things. We are not doing Chimorenga Part 3. We're not doing it. We're a new breed of Africans. Exactly. It's not business as usual. It's got to be your business. Own it. So you can pass it down to your daughters, pass it down to your sons. And that's why even the people that I work with, you know, like people like Samantha Boka, BMK, like for me, they symbolize everything that I aspire to in terms of Black ownership. And we're very, very outright about that. And, you know, that's also a big part of what Zimtron is doing. We want to alert people to how we can reclaim, you know, our confidence. And then we're not going to have as much of this brain drain that you talked about earlier. We're not going to have as many people thinking that they need to leave, because sometimes the person will have a mango tree in the garden or an avocado tree, but they'll still go to the supermarket to buy an avocado. And then they'll leave and even go to England and buy an avocado for £4. It's £4 for an avocado in the supermarket. Come on, guys.
Exactly. I mean, we should. I really like the fact that you mentioned Samantha Boka in your comments. I mean, what she is doing behind the scenes, especially when it comes to this interview, it's incredible. So a big shout out to you, Samantha. If you're listening, Samantha.
Hey, yeah. If you're up.
I like Shingai. Shingai should be here. But anyway, we don't have time on our hands, Shingai.
No problem.
I got this question for you.
Okay.
Is it true that you've worked with Winky D, right? Is it true that he makes his workmates sign a non-disclosure agreement before you guys get into work?
So I don't want to divulge too much about other people's work practices, because I think it's important for us to respect the way that we all like to work. However, I do understand why he would want to really keep keep things tight on the ship, because there's a lot of leakage, and you know, not everybody wants you to win, not everybody wants you to succeed, and so you have to protect your energy.
No, I read that in an article, and I was like, you know what? If I'm this person, I want to be like that, because it means like everything that you're doing is very secretive, and everything that comes out. But imagine
he's imagine you've spent a lot of that money recording the work, promoting the work, only for someone to go and I do get it, but how only for someone to do a pita, friend. Imagine.
But I was working with him. What is he like in person?
Fantastic.
I'm a big fan.
Fantastic, and happy belated birthday, Earth Strong.
Oh yeah,
big man, Winky. He's awesome. I loved working with him and Lion. He's got an amazing band. That's
his brother.
He's got a great team who actually their job is to kind of like bring out the best. I feel like they bring out the best in each other.
Wow.
You know, these days of us having to micromanage as artists, I feel like with seeing their team and now assembling a team around myself that I spoke of earlier around Zimtron, people like Samantha, that is, I think it's a really beautiful example of like Zimbabweans working well together. Zimbabweans, when we work together, it's so beautiful.
incredible.
It's a symphony.
Exactly.
You know, even the quality of your broadcasting. You telling me it's your first interview? I'm like, what? Come on, fam.
It is true.
So when we work together well, it's a beautiful thing. And when we listen to each other, and when we lead with our heart, you know, and try to cut down on the fear, you know, and just associate ourselves with the right people, know what your intention is, and be real about it, be consistent about it. Go with your heart, you know, all this kind of So it's great working with Winky. It's been amazing being here, and you know, it's wonderful. I really feel like the future's bright. I really do. We've still got work to do. But we have to work together. You can't expect anyone else to organize the problems in your own backyard when you're somewhere else, feeling somebody else's coffers.
Oh yeah. Listen, I had Shingai here with me.
Thank you.
What an amazing interview that I've had with her. What an amazing time that I've actually spent here with her. Any final remarks as we are knocking off?
Oh, you can watch this space for some amazing collaborations. I have another song with an incredibly talented team of Zimbabwean creatives, amazing musician and a producer. I'm not gonna say right now, but I can tell you that you can look forward to it dropping in March.
Can I premiere it here on Up in the Morning?
How can I say no? How can I say to you, Joseph? Literally, yeah. So look forward to it. Look forward to more amazing things from Zimtron and have an amazing broadcasting.
Thank you.
Long career.
Thank you. You heard that. That was Shingai. She said that I should have a long career, and I believe that. Thank you, Shingai, for coming through. You've been amazing. Samantha, you've been super, super amazing. The world needs to hear.
If you're listening.
All right, so let's do this again. Next tomorrow, same time, same place. My name is Joe, but you can call me Joseph. I was here with the beautiful and amazing Shingai Elizabeth Maria Shoniwa.
Maita Basania Bonga.
Yeah, thank you.
Big up, bless up.